Hi, this is Miss Andrea, and today let's talk about college prep homeschool math. I'm not going to separate the math out each and every year. In this video, I'm going to cover math for grades ninth through 11th, 9, 10, 11. Okay, and there's just no need to talk about math for every single year because math is basically the same. You just need to find the right curriculum and stick to it. Okay. Um, Notice I said grades 9 through 11 math, and I didn't mention 12th grade math. There is a reason. 12th grade math is a bonus. You will be taking this after you are pretty much done with the SAT and the ACT. So you want to have any math that will be on those tests out of the way before you start 12th grade to maximize your SAT and or ACT scores. And we will talk about test prep and the SAT and ACT in later videos. So what you're going to see on the SAT briefly though is basic algebra, advanced algebra or algebra 2, geometry, and basic statistics. What you're going to see on the ACT is pre-algebra, elementary algebra, intermediate algebra, coordinate geometry, plane geometry, and trigonometry. And some people are going to gravitate toward one or the other. You'll hear wherever you live that people, like say you're in California, everyone's taking the ACT, or say you're in Georgia or New York, and everyone's taking the SAT. You don't have to do that as a homeschooler. You can access any of these tests quite easily, and we'll talk about that more later, okay? So notice that there's no calculus on either of these exams. It's really nice to have learned calculus and have calculus under your belt if you are going into a field that requires calculus. But unless you're planning on a career in engineering or science, you can pass. Like, you don't have to take it, okay? But if you are planning toward these careers, engineering, science, things like that, you will want to still take calculus before your 12th grade year so that you will have the math you need to do well in physics. Calculus is a prerequisite to physics. I don't know why schools teach them at the same time. You'll do better in physics if you take calculus first. Okay, but that is another subject for another time. So if you have followed my 8th grade program, then when you hit 9th grade, you are either ready for algebra or you're halfway through algebra, you're ready for algebra 2. And so now it's time to get rolling. Somewhere between 8th grade and the end of 11th grade, you should have covered algebra, algebra 2. If your child struggles with algebra 2, you're going to want to push them toward the ACT exam. Geometry, trigonometry, which by the way is not on the SAT, and statistics. So how do you get 5 math courses done in 3 years, you might ask? Easy. You're a homeschooler. You do the math year round. You don't stop for more than a week's vacation. You finish one and you go right into the next. It's actually quite doable. Okay, so in the 8th grade video, we discussed different math curriculum options. And you're free to use any of them. But I'm gonna go ahead and show my bias and say, use Khan Academy. Just use it. If you prefer a different math curriculum for the way it's explained, use that math curriculum with Khan Academy. My kids like to use the 4 Dummies books alongside of Khan Academy. And the reason that we use Khan Academy is for the quizzing. It makes sure you keep it mastered. It doesn't let you forget old subjects. It's always going back and pulling something back and saying, hey, Do you remember this? Let's practice this for a minute and then we'll move forward again. Alex, Aleks, is one that I've recommended in the past, and one that we use, and I also like the way it quizzes, and it actually really gets you moving fast toward college math. There's a price tag on it. And lately I've been seeing some reviews that aren't great. So basically what I want you to do is I want you to use a program that teaches to mastery and quizzes you and gives you a good readout. And the only one I know as of right now that does this is KIhan Academy. So another thing that you might want to do if the child's not getting the explanations is to hire a math tutor. While KIhan Academy quizzes you in a way that prevents you from forgetting what you've learned and takes you to mastery, sometimes you need a teacher to help you get that concept the first time. If you're going to spend money in homeschooling, spend it on the teacher, not the curriculum. Okay? So what is it going to look like trying to cram 4 or 5 maths into 9th through 11th grade? Well, here's an example. So for math, 9th grade, you might take the whole year and do Algebra 1. And Algebra 1, hear me, Algebra 1 takes the longest. You got to get those concepts the first time, and then everything snowballs. So 9th grade might be Algebra 1. Summer after 9th grade, you might do half of Algebra 2. 10th grade in the fall, you might finish Algebra 2. 10th grade in the spring, you might do all of geometry. That next summer, trig. 11th grade, you might do statistics. Or if you're going to be planning on taking physics for the senior year, then you're going to want to do calculus. And that summer before 12th grade, if you haven't taken statistics yet, you might want to squeeze that in, or maybe do some SAT, ACT math prep. This is not a lot. It sounds like a lot. It's not a lot. This is how my children did it. It didn't hurt their feelings. They didn't get angry. They just got up every day and did an hour or 2 math, and they landed where they landed. My daughter is an artist, and she was finished through Algebra 2 and trig by the end of 11th grade, and 12th grade she took personal finance. We'll talk about 12th grade math later. My son did trig that last summer, and senior year he did. I always provide a lot of time for Algebra 1 because it takes longer when the subject is first introduced, but children tend to pick up speed once they finish it, because once you have those base concepts, then everything, just kind of builds on it. If algebra is already complete before 9th grade, great. Then you have room to slow down in other areas, and you can just use your summers. I think for my daughter, we just used 2 summers for SAT and ACT prep, okay, to help the child get used to the way they ask questions on those tests, because that's kind of the hardest part. It's more like trick questions and straightforward math, okay? Now you can also play around with the order of math that I gave you a little if you wish. Algebra 2 can be done after trig instead of right after Algebra 1. If it seems too daunting the first time, you can stop and say, you know what, let's do geometry and trig and come back to Algebra 2. Unlike in public school, you can take geometry or trig at the same time as Algebra 2. They are different enough to not cause confusion, and one really isn't a prerequisite for the other. So that's another way to get the maths in, is to just, take one in the morning, one in the afternoon, just tackle them at the same time. So what I want to do, because I have a feeling that there might be more programs out there, I just haven't really gone looking in a while because I've really doubled down on what I really love. But I'm going to personally review a few of the math courses in the near future, and I will update in the notes of this video, and of course make a separate video if I find something that is better or equal or just different in a way that might be useful to homeschoolers, and then we'll discuss it. And so what's coming next is what your math course is going to look like on that college prep spreadsheet. So until next time.